Welcome, Tej, to episode 2 of the podcast.
Bro, that feels so good to hear. Episode two.
Rolling, rolling with it. We don't have a name yet, but
How do you feel not having a name on episode two?
um, I'm pretty trusting of life, and I feel that if we don't have a name yet, we're not supposed to. And,
Hmm.
and I appreciate all the suggestions that people have offered, and um, none of them fit quite right. And I believe you said that it's important that the name actually feels right, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. So very pumped to actually have a name, but also we're in that unknown right now, which is just dandy.
I love it. It was so cool to at least on my end when I sent out that email, like I heard from people that I hadn't spoken to in a very long time, right?
Really?
And it was like so touching to kind of see that that was the email that they responded to,
Hmm.
right? Like with some people, it's been like, OG Twitter days, for instance.
Sure.
And I hadn't spoken to them in a very long time, and they came back with name suggestions, or they just shared how fired up they were to hear that we were doing this.
Yeah. Yeah, man. The old um messages from people and the connections with people have been it's really sweet. It brings back the memories, and it also made me think about how many people we're going to meet along this journey over the next year who have never listened to a conversation that we've had before. And that's exciting too.
That's very exciting for me because, like, you know what we were talking about on the last episode? I just realized we can actually reference past episodes now since we're going to be doing this weekly.
Yes, episode 1, episode 2.
That's actually new. I don't think I've had the ability to reference past episodes on a weekly basis.
Yeah, that is exciting.
But yeah, that's super exciting for me to kind of see what types of new people are attracted to a conversation like this.
Hmm.
And I think like these conversations are going to cover like a very broad range of subjects, which I'm also very fascinated by.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to my grandma earlier. I'm staying with my grandparents for 2 days. And she's like, "What are you guys gonna talk about? How are you guys gonna find the stuff to talk about?" I'm like, "Grandma, it will all take care of itself. Don't you worry."
Yeah, I remember when I was shipping out the Tej Dosa letters like the first year.
Hmm.
And usually, like, this is when I was still like packaging up the letters and shipping them out like myself. And normally I would like do it in my own home. But like this time, for whatever reason, I think it was around Christmas time. So I was like in my parents' house
Uh-huh.
and my mom walked in and I was like sitting in the living room and there was just like a shit ton of envelopes and like a shit ton of letters and like stamps all over the place, right? And like she has no idea what I do. But in this moment, she like saw that and she's like, "What is this? Like, what are you mailing, right? Like, and to like who, right?" And I was like, "Oh," I explained it to her. I was like, "Oh, I send out like this like marketing letter like on the first of like every month." And then she was like, "Whoa," like she's like, "Where do you like how do you come up with this stuff, right? Like, like how do you know what to write about?" And then she's like, "How long have you been doing this for?" And I told her, I think at that time it was like the first year, so I wasn't too long into it. But she was just so fascinated by like where do these topic ideas come from, and like how do you fill up these pages, and people pay for this? Like it was like such a revelation for
Mm.
her. But like from my experience, what I realized is like once you set the container and you show up,
Yeah.
whatever is needed to be said is said,
Hmm.
right? So for me, like what's exciting is I think our conscious mind is going to run out of talking points at whatever period of time that happens. But I think then after that, the real podcast actually starts.
Yeah, that's a great point because we have ideas for things we want to talk about, and but then there's going to be another layer that occurs similar to a meditation, right? In
Hmm.
in the first 5, 10, 15 minutes of a meditation, sometimes in the first 20, you're just going through all the things that you're doing, all the things that you're thinking about, but then after a certain point, if you sit down long enough, you just experience another layer of consciousness, another layer of your understanding, and it comes up with topics and things that you might not have even thought about in the first place. So I completely agree. I've never quite thought about it like that.
Yeah, I find that's like whether I'm like writing or whether I'm like creating something. First, it's like I try to exhaust my conditioned mind.
Huh.
After I've exhausted it, then the gold starts coming out.
Yeah. One practice I love to do is when I'm writing is write 1,000 words of just whatever. And Julia Cameron, I believe, in The Artist Way calls it like three crappy pages or morning pages, and you just write them out. And then after that, that's when it starts to get good. Yeah, it's all the same. How do you do that?
I'm curious, are you still continuing on with the morning pages?
I've I do them sporadically. I haven't been writing them consistently, but when I've done it, I probably have how many entries? Let's see. I keep them all in a folder. This month I've done it 3 times. Last month I did it three. But there was a streak here that I had, every day for
The
like,
Danny Miranda streaks, let's go.
yeah, I mean, in 2025, I did it every day pretty much from like from December 30th to like September. So,
Wow.
yeah,
What
powerful.
did you what did you notice as a result of doing it, specifically during that time period?
I'm I was experiencing so much. I was traveling so many places. And what sticks out to me is how many thoughts I have and how many perspectives I have about different things and situations. And a lot of it just, if I don't write it down, just gets lost with the
Mm,
wind. Even when I do a 1 line a day journal now.
mhm.
And the the interesting part about it to me is that I'll write, oh, I had a great conversation with Tej in the 1 line a day journal. But if I don't do the morning pages, I have no idea what we spoke about, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And in some ways, it doesn't really matter. In some ways, it's cool to know what actually occurred and what happened. And so when I'm doing the morning pages consistently, I get a sense for how much perspective and how complex life can really be, and how many perspectives I can have. So
Mm. That's amazing. I remember with morning pages specifically, I think it's still around, but I haven't used it in years. There's a website, I think it's called like 750words.com.
yeah, 750words.com.
Yeah, and I
Yep.
remember when I was doing morning pages, I would use that, and I built up, a nice little streak of my own. And I was always so amazed at like how important it is to truly process things,
Yes. Yes.
right? Because like when I wasn't doing, and I'm not doing morning pages now, so it's kind of a reminder just hearing you talk about it. I don't think, like personally, I don't think you need to do them every day.
Hmm.
Right? Because I think unless there's a lot happening and there's a lot to process, then like for instance, whenever I feel the need to do morning pages, it's usually when like shit's hitting the fan.
Yep. Yep. I'm looking at my three entries from this month and three from last month, and I'm like, but also side note is I feel that, like meditation, it's important to do even when you're not going through shit, because otherwise
Exactly.
it just feels like your life is shit, but it's not true. It's just some part of the story.
Dude, that's so funny because that website, it like analyzes like your I don't really like that feature, but it like analyzes like your morning pages and it tells you like what you were feeling, right? And like there was a period where I was only doing them when I was feeling like shit. And the analysis would be so funny. It's like, man, you were really sad today, or a lot of anger, a lot of frustration. But I think there's something to sitting down and processing the events of your life, good or bad,
Yeah.
because I think it clears up the RAM and it allows you to have more new experiences.
Yeah. I I went to a therapist maybe a handful of times as a kid, like
Hmm.
maybe call it 13 to 20. And every time I remember feeling like, wow, that was amazing. Like I really needed that. And I view it as the same thing as a meditation. I view it the same thing as doing the morning pages. It's just space to get off your chest what is true, what is there, the things that are unsaid that you're not acknowledging to yourself or someone else. And there's such a value in that that I don't know if we've properly realized yet fully as a collective. But we're
Mm.
we're getting there, I feel.
Yeah, I also think people are screaming out for something new in today's day and age.
Mm.
Like, I don't know if this is just my copy brain or marketing brain, but I'm always like on the lookout for like new growing niches inside of the big three markets, right? So like the big three markets are, of course, like wealth, health, and like relationships. And what I've been noticing, not even like trying to do any active research in this area, but just what I've been noticing from just being on socials and just like YouTube or TikTok or Instagram or whatever, is like how much the younger generation is like craving things like stillness
Mm.
or like one device per action as opposed to like a Swiss Army knife, which is what the iPhone is,
Mm.
or going back to things like pocket notebooks,
Mm.
right? It's like very interesting how that new generation wants to kind of slow down because they grew up with so much technology. But also, the point that I was making was how many like new like health issues are arising in people,
Yeah.
right? And it's not like anything crazy serious, but it is serious in the sense that it's like severely handicapping their ability to live a full day, let alone a full life, right?
Hmm.
Whether it's like chronic fatigue or whether it's like, anxiety or like whatever it is, there's like a lot of mental related illnesses that have been on the rise in a lot of different people. And I think technology usage is primarily one of the main reasons, but I also think it speaks to your point, which is we don't have enough time collectively to actually give ourselves space to process things.
Yeah. Because what you're consuming on the day-to-day basis is not just operating in your consciousness in the moment that you're consuming it. It's also going on in the background
Mm,
of your awareness, and it takes time. So every short that you process, every short that you consume is going to take some amount of time to process. And and every podcast that you choose to listen to is going to take some time to process. Every conversation you have is going to take some time to process. And I think what we're witnessing right now is that the amount of content that is consumed is greater than our time to process it. That's been
mm.
my experience, at least.
It's so fascinating because even when we like upload like this podcast, it says it needs time to process, right?
Mm, great
Like even how
point.
technology uses the word, it's like, you can't upload multiple podcasts at once. You got to go one by one, and it takes a certain amount of time to fully process. And dude, what's your relationship been with consuming content these days?
Yeah, man. Um,
I hear it in your voice.
I think actually this is one of the reasons why I stopped podcasting
Hmm.
is because I stopped consuming podcasts and I started to listen to um, music a lot more. And uh, even just the retreat that I hosted 2 weeks ago, I noticed when I got back from it how, oh man, this is kind of interesting that, all right, so I get back from the retreat on Sunday night 2 weeks ago, and I watch a movie. The movie I watched was Hector's Search for Happiness, which is a great movie. I recommend it. I think listeners of this podcast will enjoy it, and my cousin Ben, he shared it with me, and We loved it. And I watched it directly after the retreat. So on the retreat, there's minimal phone. The phone usage is like my screen time. It's like 20 minutes per day max, just because I'm using it um, to work with the retreat. But no one has their phone, so it's a place of stillness. And then we watched it that night, and I loved it. Like it was, I felt it so deeply, and I felt connected to all the experiences that the character was having. And then it just so happens I was with my friends 2 or 3 nights ago, and we were talking about what movies to watch, and I was like, "Oh, we should watch Hector Search for Happiness." And I watched it for a second time, and I was the one who suggested it. Like I loved the movie, and I wanted my friends to experience it. And I noticed from watching this movie the second time, after spending time on my phone over the last week or yeah, over that last week, so, wow, my I feel my attention is has shifted in some way. I'm less present. I'm less here fully. And maybe one reason for that was it was the second time I was watching it, but I felt the difference in my brain. And it was just an interesting experience to have where there were two different moments. The same movie was being played, and I was having a different experience. A more like I felt the pull in my brain towards let me check my phone when I didn't feel that at all the first time. So
Ooh.
yeah,
You,
it's a wild world out there.
you know what's so spooky about what you just shared is you can have two lives that have the exact same life experiences,
Yep.
and the actual felt sense quality of life can be drastically different,
So true. So true.
which is a trip when you think about it.
Yeah. Yeah, you can experience the same exact thing, but from a different level of consciousness, you are in a completely different place.
Yeah. And I think that is realizing that, I think, gives you real freedom because you realize you have access to that regardless of what's going on.
Yeah. And it's work it feels like work to be free in the modern world, bro. It's
Bro, the difficulty level on this video game is pretty up there.
and what a good problem to have. And yeah. But my relationship, the first 2 days I got back from the retreat, I would open Instagram and I would say, "Oh, I can't. I'm not doing this right now. I don't want it."
Wow.
But then
Wow.
after the third day, I was like, "Fuck it." I got to be a normal human. Uh,
What do you think happened
happened
in
on the third
between?
day. Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think happened in between that space?
Um, the f something about the fear of what everyone else is experiencing came on stronger. Uh, Something about wanting to be normal or
Mm,
wanting to experience what other people were experiencing. Something about connection and wanting connection with the quote unquote real world or the world of everyone else. Um, Something about not fully grasping the benefits of what I had been experiencing.
mhm.
Um, those are some things that come to mind.
What I find interesting, because I experienced that, many times too, is for me, what it comes down to is how you need actual support to stay in that real place,
Yes.
right? And if you don't
Yes.
have that support, then it feels like you have to leave that place to rejoin the world.
Yes.
Instead of if you have support, then it feels like you have support to actually stay in that place while you engage with the world. It's like you pull the world towards you, right? And I think in today's day and age, especially like even people that like meditate and do things that are more like spiritually inclined,
Hmm.
I notice they usually do it alone, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like, oh, like when I'm meditating, I'm in these blissful states, but then I gotta go on this date. And like, when I'm on the date, like, I can't do the date from this place.
Right.
Or I gotta post content for my business. So, in order for me to post content, I have to look and sound like everybody else. But for me, and I was like a lone wolf for like majority of my life.
Uh-huh.
So I really experienced that. But recently, as of like the last 5 years, I've really benefited from having access to a group of people that are also practicing being real and staying in that place while they're living their life, right? And I noticed just having access to that allows me to stay in this place for a longer amount of time. Whereas previously I would go in and out and I thought there was two worlds. There was this deeper world and then there was like the world of everybody else, right? And that put up a very big wall between me and myself. It's like putting up a wall between you and your own nature, right? And like if you put up a wall mentally, then you start to actually experience it as two different worlds. But for me, actually experiencing support to stay here by leveraging relationships has been huge in terms of knocking that wall down.
Yeah, very well said. And that's I think I've told you this before, is that we'd have these conversations and I'd feel amazing from them. But then I'd go back into my day-to-day world and I wasn't having these types of conversations with anyone else. And then, somewhere around mid 2023, I started to have friends in my day-to-day life that were similar to these conversations. And it allowed me to stay in the state longer, and it allowed me to grow faster because it wasn't just a conversation with Tej once every month. It was now, all right, this is a daily practice. My texts look like our conversations, and we're both trying to, me and my friends are all trying to help each other grow and connect with the deeper truths, which is allowing me to grow faster than ever. So I completely agree. And such a, it wasn't something that, it was definitely something I undervalued as a fellow lone wolf, leaning lone wolf type.
Bro, that's another thing. Like, just like I did a, complete turn on the term teacher from last episode. I also have done a complete turn on the word community. When I first used to hear that, I was like, fuck community. What the fuck do you need community for? But I'm like, holy shit. Like, so many of the modern day problems, I think, actually stem from losing community.
Yeah, real community, like real
Yeah,
people who have your back, who care about you, who love you, who want the best for you, and vice versa.
exactly. I think, like, even like recently, like, I spent a lot of time with my cousins that I grew up with, right?
Wow.
And I had like, we're all like obviously older, but like these were cousins that I grew up with. We like played in the park together. We, sometimes lived together and we shared like a lot of our early memories together. And then, we got older, so we didn't really spend that much time together. But what I noticed was when I recently spent time with them, like how relaxed my nervous system felt was like unlike anything else I've experienced.
Dude, it is so remarkable that you bring this up
Go on.
because my cousin uh last night he he had a baby.
Congrats.
Congrats to my cousin. And so I said, what's his birth time? Let me put in his astrology into my pattern app. And he- his cousin, it says on this pattern app that me and my cousin's son, who's now 1 day old, have a past life deep bond and past life karmic links.
Wow.
And It's like, and it says, oh my God, it says, there's a feeling of immediate familiarity between you and this baby, as though you've known each other before. This pattern can make you feel like fast friends, like you can trust each other immediately. And I think just something deep is going on when we feel that real community, when we feel uh just you spending time with your cousins. You think, from your 3D perspective, it's like, oh, it's so good to connect with family. And that very well may be true. What if it's also that you've spent time with these specific souls for thousands of incarnations, and
Mm.
that's what you're remembering and
Ooh.
reconnecting with?
Ooh. Dude, my lower back just opened when you said that.
And that's probably what's going on with these conversations, right? It doesn't make sense from a actual one-to-one perspective that, okay, I could read someone's tweets for 8 years and have phone calls with them, a total of 50 times, but how come it feels like this, right? There's something deeper going on for me. So, yeah, it's very cool.
Likewise. Yeah, for me too. I mean, there's so many stories about that, like in like a lot of different books that are like, not mainstream and written by people that are like very tapped in with like a very strong lineage. Um, they talk about like, sometimes like let's say somebody is just like a Westerner and they're just living an ordinary life and they feel a call. There's many stories like this. They feel a call to go to the east or vice versa, and then they honor this call and they take this trip and they approach the trip very spontaneously, and then they find themselves face to face with somebody else that's like very tapped in, and that person says to them, oh, I've been waiting for you my entire life, welcome home, right? And he's like, oh, like in a previous incarnation you were my teacher, or vice versa. Like you
Yep.
even see this with certain people that have lived certain lives with teachers.
Yep.
And then in these traditions, they believe in reincarnation. So, like when that teacher reincarnates as a baby, like certain students will go to the baby and be like, "Yo, that was my teacher," and they're like, like bow down to the baby.
Yep. Didn't that happen to Yogananda?
I think so. Oh yeah, yeah. Maybe
Wh-
that's where.
His
Yeah,
his teacher comes to him. He approaches his teacher at like a very young age, and the teacher says, "I've been waiting to see you."
yes, yes, yes.
And
Dude,
and
that
you, go ahead.
no, no. I was just gonna say it's so like if you just stay with that,
Mm,
like it starts to, at least for me, like it starts to melt away like the veils in
yeah.
between dimensions.
Yeah. That's what I felt this morning. Yeah.
Say more about that.
I mean, I had tears in my eyes when I'm running this astrology with my own astrology with this 1 day old baby. I mean, there's a reason that fathers cry when they see their baby.
Wow.
It's it's a deeper thing than we realize.
Wow. Bro, I just gotta say I love these conversations because I didn't think we would go here.
Me neither. Me neither.
But
Uh,
just feeling into that and like the even
yeah.
as you're sharing, like you can hear it in your voice, like
Yeah.
the depth, right?
Yeah.
And it's like the way that it's landing for me, it's like it's almost like lovingly shaking me more awake,
Mm,
right? Like how the ordinary moments aren't actually that ordinary.
no, there's so much deeper than we could actually ever realize. And I read this. I mean, I have tears in my eye. Like I feel tears welling up behind my eyes right now. And it's all when I was reading the surrender experiment for the 6th time this year, he has a line in there where he says something like, it's all so much deeper than we could ever really realize. And our day-to-day interactions are not what we actually think. I mean, I was walking home today from the gym, and this guy stops over who I've never spoke to before. He's in a golf cart and he says, "Where are you going?" And I said, "Oh, I'm just walking to my grandparents' house." He said, "Can I drive you?" And my initial thought in my head was no, but then I was like, "Let me surrender to life," and it said yes. And I got in the car with him, the golf cart, and we had this brief 1 minute conversation or 2 minute conversation about just the most surface level stuff. But I said to myself, how many things needed to happen for us to have this conversation? Have I met this soul before?
Hmm.
Is he picking me up in some way where I picked him up previously?
Oof.
How did this? It just seems like such a small gesture that is so meaningless. And it, I said, what? Why did he choose to stop me here today on this day? And how do our stories intersect? And I mean, it is a wild thing to experience life from this lens, Tej.
Bro, like if you experience life from this lens, like any experience that you have, I think you can stay with it and take it to the deepest of levels.
Yeah.
So, like, to experience one moment fully, I think is actually enough. And I think it's very rare to actually experience just one moment as fully and as deeply and as truly as possible.
On this point, there's a great book that I read called You Were Born to Be Together Again, or You Were Born Again to Be Together, by Dick Sutphin. You were born again to be together. And it talks about 16 different cases of people who were 16 different cases of different couples and different people who knew each other in previous lifetimes. And just the stories in that book are phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. You Were Born Again to Be Together by Dick Sutphin. He's a past life hypnotherapist. This book sold, I believe, over 1 million copies in the 80s. Shout out to my friend Vanessa for recommending it to me. But yeah, just the depth of this.
I feel like we're gonna have a very long list of book recommendations after this.
Wow, we should keep that. We should keep a list because that document of books that we've recommended is going to be very important, I feel.
Mm.
It's going to be very important for us and for others who would like to live a deeper, richer, truer life. That's my
I,
feeling
th-
at least.
I think that's a great idea. I think I shared this before, but it's like a fond memory. I still remember when I came into your apartment in Austin and you had books all over the place. And like these books weren't like normal books, right? Like I remember walking around your apartment looking at the book titles and I was like, man, Danny's cooked.
I was thinking about that earlier last week. That's so funny. I'm cooked in the best way. And what I've said about books always is that they seem to follow me wherever I go.
Mm.
Wherever I go, just books just appear. And it's it's such a blessing. I mean, I love books. They're the most important tools I've found for awakening other than meditating. And it's just so much perspective and wisdom and yeah. The our book list is gonna be, oh my God. Oh my God.
I'll set that up. I'll keep it bare bones. We'll just rock with a Google
Google
Doc, a
Doc,
running
yeah.
list of a
Yeah.
Google Doc, and
Yeah.
then I'll continuously add as we drop book recommendations spontaneously.
Amazing. Amazing idea. Um, wow.
I'm curious, before we shift topics, I'm curious about one thing.
Yep.
So after you punch that into your app, right? Knowing what you know now, how does that change the way that you perceive this new baby, and how do you think it's going to infuse your interactions?
Hmm. I don't know. I don't know if it will change much. I just plan to meet this baby with as much love as I possibly can and connect with it as deeply as I possibly can. With astrology, I love astrology, and I don't, there's, it is a topic I believe I'm going to, at some point, do a deeper dive and a study in the same way that I've been studying hypnotherapy. I feel that I'm going to do that with astrology at some point. And where I'm currently at with it is it's really cool to see that, really cool to see what type of person that he could become someday. And I don't I don't know if it will change much. I don't know if it will I will still continuously pour into him in whatever ways I can, and I will just give him love and connection. Um, it's just fun for me.
Mm,
You know, it's just fun for me to see, and it's cool for me to think about the possibility of us reconnecting instead of just connecting.
mm. Beautifully said. I think that's a really wise approach, right? Because essentially what you're saying is you're not letting this turn into a new filter that covers your eyes,
Yeah.
right? Instead, you're actually remaining connected to the
Right.
openness and to the real and actually allowing that to infuse the relationship however it will.
Totally. And on this point, I haven't run my cousin has two children, and I haven't run his first child with the astrology. And I actually have it feels like a deep connection with her. She's
Mm.
2 years old, and I feel a closeness to her. And I if I looked up her astrology and it didn't say we have past life deep bonds and past life karmic connections, what I'm not gonna I'm just with
I'm
the
out. I'm out.
like, like it's great. It's great to see. It's very cool and it's really special. And so what if it existed or not? Change uh it doesn't change my desire to be connected to this person, whether or not they have it or not. But I love it. I find it so fascinating. And it is in some ways, even the way that I'm describing, in some ways it is entertainment.
Mm.
And so what? Right? I'm not going to actually change my behavior in any meaningful way about it, but it's still fun for me. And it still provides a level of depth about uh, his birth that is enriching and enlivening. So that's my relationship currently with astrology and with this specific baby.
Yeah. Because for me, I never gotten into like any of the astrology stuff, but just from the looking from the outside, and I'm aware of like, things look very different from the outside than the inside. But one of the things that I've noticed was like, for instance, let's talk about it with my own experience, right? So,
Mhm.
like, when I was young, my mom, I think I shared this, but like, my mom, like, I don't know, went to like some wise astrologer or whatever, right?
Yeah.
where you had to like climb like fucking 1,001 stairs or something, and he's just sitting up there alone without food, without water. He's just
Oh
using
my
the air to
God.
live, like one of
Oh
those guys, right?
my.
And apparently, so like apparently this like I don't I think it was this like staircase, right? So like it had like 1,001 steps, but every time you counted the steps, the number would change.
What do you mean?
So like say you go up the staircase and you count each step, right? Let's say the total number is 1,001,
Uh-huh.
right? Now say you do it again, it would be like 997.
Okay.
And like for each person the number would change. So
Well,
like it wouldn't be fixed.
how is that possible?
I have no idea. But anyways, it was spooky. But anyways, I remember to just continue with the story. I think my mom like shared like my birth details or something, and
Uh-huh.
then time of birth, birth details or whatever, and like the person said like he would have no problem making money, like he'll turn dirt into money, right?
Wow.
And I
True.
remember my mom like told me that. I think I was just like starting up like high school or something. And then he said that, and then he also said he should wear silver because silver is a good metal for him. It will
Huh.
help him, right?
Cool.
And then and also what's interesting, like I heard this in grade 9, but prior to that, I always had like an affinity to silver. Like I always rocked a silver chain,
Whoa.
right? Quick aside. Don't know if there's anything to that, but I remember hearing that from my mom, and it like because at that time I was like fucking around with like different business ideas and just eating shit, right? And I remember hearing that from my mom, and it like relaxed the entire system.
Wow.
It was like, oh shit, like I don't actually have to worry, like it's taken care of, like I can't fuck this up,
Yeah.
right? Similarly to the effect that like Three Simple Steps had on me, the Trevor G. Blake book,
Uh-huh.
like
Add
part
to the
three.
list.
I love it. I had totally forgotten about the list, by the way. And then yeah, like part three, the effect it had on me was like entering a state of knowing, right? Where
Mm,
all doubt is removed and you're completely living as if your future is actually in the past, right? So
yeah.
I know you want to talk about mentality folder. I think this segues well into that.
Hmm.
But briefly, I think a state of knowing is so, so, so powerful, right? It's when all doubt is removed and you're completely in it as if it's like watching a movie that you watched before and you know how the movie ends. But let's say you're watching it with your friends like you were, and they don't know how the movie ends. So like with each and every scene, they're being taken along for the ride, but you're just sitting there with a quiet confidence with this smirk on your face. Knowing how the movie ends and that there really is no worry, there really is no concern, right? So I think like one from just like this vantage point, like that was very helpful for me. But I think on a deeper spiritual level, like the movie ends in pure glory. So I think truly feeling into that relaxes the system on a cellular level. And I think that's a very powerful state to operate from on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. This is such an interesting point that I've come to believe at this moment in my life, but I don't know if I've always believed this in that the end is already written. In the moment of your conception is your entire life story. And that concept is so hard for me to believe and get along with because I so desperately want to believe that I myself have some control over this thing and I feel like I do, but what has changed in my perception is that my current feeling on this, subject to change, is that
Love the disclaimer.
yeah, is that the story of your entire life and your death moment, your death date, that's set. But the lens with which you view the story from is up to you.
Mm,
So
interesting.
so you're going to experience what you're going to experience in your life. similar to you're going to experience what the movie has in store for you. You already signed up for this specific movie. You are the awareness. You're not the actual character of Danny or Tej. You're just witnessing that character play out. But what you have the choice about is for you to say, am I going to enjoy this part of the movie where everything goes to shit? Am I am I going to remember that I'm not actually in the this character is feeling so bad for himself right now. Can I remove myself from that? And similarly with the amazing high highs, the joy, all of that, can I remember that I'm not actually this and that I'm just witnessing the experience of it? And can I go into it and out of it as I so please and want? That to me is where I'm currently at with this whole life thing. But that's subject to change.
It may change by next episode. Who knows?
Correct. Correct. It's just
Yeah.
a theory.
I have a weird theory on this, another theory, but so I think, let's say, like, for instance, like, let's say you punch in, and keep in mind, I don't know anything about astrology, but I'm just using it as a reference, right? Don't come for me, people, right? So, like, imagine you punch in somebody's like birthday, time of birth, like location, whatever, right?
Yep.
And it like spits out like the full life story, the challenges this person is likely to have, the things that are likely to come easy to him, the things he's likely to experience, or she, whatever it is. It's like a full life story, right? Because, like, the planets were a particular way that day. I don't know, the water was a particular way, and it influenced like the actual coding of that person, of that soul, of that like the imprint, right? So my vantage point is this: if that person remains asleep, the life experience he will have will be in alignment with his astrology chart.
Oh, interesting.
Right. So if he remains, it's like food for evolution. Like, this individual is encoded like this way. This is what he's going to experience. This is what he's going to go through, so on and so forth. And that's kind of run the show on autopilot. And that's going to be his or her life story.
Hmm.
But if that individual wakes up inside, I'm going to use a video game analogy, but if that individual wakes up inside the video game of life
Hmm.
and he gets jolted awake, I think then the I has changed,
Hmm.
right? He's gone from being this character that exists in time to getting in touch with the part of himself that exists outside of time and space, right? And by activating that deeper part, I think that individual becomes freed. I'm going to use the Eastern term here, even though I haven't studied it much. I think that individual becomes freed of his karma, which you can say is this astrology chart.
Huh.
And that in return gives them more creative power to actually create a new script, to live a new life. And that to me is what it means to live consciously.
Beautiful. I love that perspective. And what does it mean to be awake in this paradigm?
I think it starts by like realizing that majority of your thoughts and majority of your emotions and majority of your behaviors aren't actually your own,
Hmm.
right? Like, if you ask the modern person, hey, are you awake right now? They'll say, of course I'm awake. I woke up at 7 in the morning today. I had my cup of coffee, man. What do you mean I'm not awake? Right? But the way that I explain it, or the way that I describe it, is you can either be a slave to your conditioning or you can be tapped into divinity.
Hmm.
Right. And I
Hmm.
think if you're a slave to your conditioning, I don't actually think you're awake. Right. You're just thinking as you've been conditioned to think. You're just acting as you've been conditioned to act. You're just living as you've been conditioned to live. And you have a certain way of viewing the world. You have a certain way of interacting with others. And I think that just gives rise to a very conditioned life that you can say is going to be in alignment with your astrology chart or
Huh.
whatever else it is. But I actually think there's opportunity to break. the script, to break the video game. Sticking with the video game analogy, the video game is coded in a certain way, right? The character has access to certain things. He's going to go on certain missions. He's going to experience certain things. But the video game that he's in is limited. It's limited based on the code that the video game designers created, right? So if he remains in the video game, he remains limited by the structure that is imposed on him through the outside. But if he wakes up and makes contact with, you can say in this analogy, the one that actually codes the video game,
Mm.
then I think this life opens up in a completely different way. And that to me is what gives me chills.
Mm.
Because I've experienced that precisely, right? It's like, and I think we all have, like, there's certain experiences we have that we know that, we had to go beyond our familiar sense of self. And it's the only way we're actually experiencing these things. It's like, I never thought I would experience X. I think in those moments, you've actually gone beyond the conditioning.
What's a moment like that for you?
For me, like, I don't think I'm supposed to, never in a million years did I think I would be on a podcast talking about this, bro. This wasn't in the cards, bro. I don't know my astrology chart, but I don't think it's on the fucking chart, bro.
Let me pull it up. Yeah,
Right? So I think
maybe.
it might be, I don't know. Right? But I think like this is one example, but also like from a business perspective.
Mm.
Right? Like, bro, I was run by so many limiting beliefs. I had such a messy mind. Like, there was so much dysfunction in my system that there was no way in hell I could do some of the things that I've done.
Mm.
Right? So it really, the reason why I like, talk about this stuff so much is because I think it's like the only thing that I found that actually gave me access to real freedom and real creativity. And it quite literally saved my life in many, many, many ways. And I think on the deepest of levels, I still don't understand how much it saved my life. But even on a surface level, it's completely saved and changed and transformed my life.
You're talking about becoming awake, becoming, uh, getting in touch with the divinity inside yourself, thus breaking your programming, thus uh, helping you become a different being entirely. Is that right?
You nailed it. Like, you said in like one sentence what I took like 10 minutes to say. But yeah, exactly that. And I think it's such an incredible journey to go on. It's like, holy shit, like this is fucking living. It's the same way I feel on these conversations.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, this was my experience when I started to meditate. I said to myself, wait, this is connected to that? This
Mm,
person is connected to that? And and for me, the what's woken me up in the deepest way has been the connections between things that I previously thought were completely not connected. And when I started to go down that rabbit hole, it's never ending. And it has changed my perception of life itself. Because previously I would say I am Danny Miranda. I am in this consciousness. I mean, I get chills just going down this line of thought, but I am Danny Miranda. I am here. You are Tej Dosa. You are there. And we are different beings, obviously, because I can't think your thoughts and you can't think my thoughts. And then when I started to meditate and I started to see the connections between things, I said, oh, if I am connected to you at this level, then what's the difference between me and you? If this synchronicity is happening that is so unexplainable am me and you really different? If we're not different and we're the same or part of the same thing, what does that mean? If you know when you're watching a movie, character A and character B, they're different people, but they're also not, in that the movie is the movie. And so, in some ways, both character A cannot exist without character B, and they are
Mm.
both a part of the one thing that you're watching. And what if you yourself and me, myself, are actually the same thing? And anyone listening, it's all part of the same thing. And if it's all part of the same thing, it's all one thing. And
Whew.
yeah, and that's what meditating brought me to and brings me to, is that there is a difference between me and you. And there's also not.
Dude, that's a mic drop moment. That's a mic drop moment. I loved how you said you're watching one thing when you used the movie analogy.
Mm,
It's so fascinating because even like on this conversation, for instance, right?
mm,
Like you would think that there's something inside me, like some entity that's inside my being called Tej, right?
mm,
And he's like sitting at the control room inside my consciousness. And you have some, individual entity inside you called Danny, and he's sitting inside your control room, right? But I can assure you, there's nothing fucking inside me, right? There's just thoughts that are arising,
yep.
there's feelings and emotions, and there's sensations,
Mm,
right? Those are the three things that are happening inside my being in this moment.
mm,
And like with the thoughts, there's like memories of the past and like, you can say aspirations about the future. Those are like the raw building blocks that are happening inside me, but there's nobody called Tech inside me.
mm.
Right? So like in this moment, if we stay with that, like people think, and I think this too, that on this podcast we're listening to this goes so deep, like it gives me fucking chills because I think we don't truly we sit with this, but we don't marinate in this enough to let it truly transform us.
Let's
Right?
marinate in
Let's fucking marinate, brother. So the way this conversation is perceived is the entity named Tej inside my control room is talking to the entity named Danny inside your control room. But if you give us a little bit of, if you illuminate what's happening in your consciousness in this moment, do you find or like sense into any entity named Danny in this moment?
no.
So, and I'm guessing there's like thoughts and sensations and emotions and memories and aspirations
Hmm.
occurring in your location.
Sure. Yes. Control room, check.
Right? So
Uh,
if we like stay with that
yeah.
and we go deeper than the surface level,
Mm,
right? The surface level is there's somebody named Tej and there's somebody named Danny. But if we clearly, I'm telling you honestly, like there's nobody named Tej inside me right now. I can't
yep.
find him.
Yep.
Right? Things are just happening. These words are just coming out, right? Thoughts are just happening in my brain. Emotions are just occurring in my heart. Sensations are arising in my body. Things are just happening. Just like the bird is singing outside of my window right now, these same emotions, thoughts, sensations are running inside me, right? There's nobody named Ted here. So if we stay with that, then the question becomes who is actually on this podcast right now, right? Now, to answer that question, you can have two answers, but the real answer is ultimately one answer, right? But it can manifest in two different ways. So if we stay with that question and we're like, who's actually on this podcast? If there's no entity named Tej here, and there's no entity named Danny, and whoever the listener is, there's no entity named that either, right? So if we stay with this space, you can say that this conversation is one being talking to itself,
Mm.
right? Or you can say life is talking to life.
Mm.
Or you can say divinity is talking to divinity, right? Now, the reason, which I think is so profound, right, that divinity can talk to itself, I think that's why creation was created,
Mm.
right? To
Yeah.
experience another that is you through a different form. But also, this divinity can manifest in one of two ways. If there's blockages inside my individual location as a result of my history, that divinity, when it tries to flow through my body, it's going to hit those blockages and it's going to manifest in this conversation in accordance with the history of Tej.
Yep.
Right. So it's like, I'm going to act the same way. I'm going to say the same things. I'm going to talk about the same shit. Like it's going to manifest in that way. And if on your side it hits your blockages, it's going to manifest in a limited way through the identity that is mental, not real, mental of Danny.
Yep.
But if we do things to clear that conditioning, we quite literally liberate divinity to manifest more freely through our individual location to the point that we can, one, have a conversation where it's life talking to life, but two, which is very important, actually recognize that that's what's happening.
Mm.
And I think the recognition is very important, right? So, like on this conversation, it quite literally for me has always felt like I'm talking to myself. Not me as in Tej, but me as in what's deeper. And I think staying with that changes things on a very deep level. It actually eliminates and relaxes all fear because fear is always related to somebody outside of you is going to do something to you.
Nobody outside of you can do anything to you.
I need just that clipped and recorded. That was a good ping pong session. And
Go.
I think that's so powerful.
I mean, my eyes are closed. I'm smiling.
It just like if you stay there,
Yeah,
it changes the entire game and it changes pretty much everything.
this is what Byron Katie's work attempts to do.
Mm.
So, Byron Katie's work asks you four questions and then turns around the statements. And so you go to Byron Katie's work when you have any thought of suffering, anxiety, fear, anytime we bring up morning pages. Um, and and you take any statement at all that's causing you suffering about someone else. And you take that statement and you first ask, is it true? Yes or no? And the second, you take that statement again and you say, can you absolutely, with 100% certainty, know that that statement is true? And I guess it might be helpful to work with an actual statement here so we could get into it. Um, an actual statement could be, um, mm, I hate when people are late.
Mm.
That could be a statement. And so, can you know, is it true? I hate when people are late. Yes, it's true. Can I absolutely, with 100% certainty, know it's true? No, I cannot. Three, how does it feel when I think that thought? I hate when people are late. feel constricted. I feel angry. I feel frustrated. Feel disrespected. Who would I be without that thought is the fourth question. I'd be, if I couldn't think that thought, I'd be happy. I'd be feeling free. I'd feel elevated. I'd feel my back would be straighter. And then the point that you just made, excuse me, feels very connected to the turnarounds, which is
Mm,
the turnarounds are, I hate when people are late. The first turnaround could be people hate when I'm late.
mm,
And really sitting in. My eyes are closed right now. I feel so much space around me. Like
mm,
such a like so much space. Like I feel like I'm looking at a vast field, and that's the turnarounds and the questions are supposed to work by marinating in it. To go really slow. People hate when I'm late. How is that as true or truer? You list three reasons. Then instead of I hate when people are late, I hate when I'm late. What are three reasons that's true? I love when people are late. What are three reasons that's true? If you really sit with these thoughts and these turnarounds, you realize that if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. Are people late for you as a way to help you be more free when people are late? If you start to love when people are late, like actually, oh, I love when people are late, that gives me more time to be with myself and connect with myself. My guess is that life will stop showing you people who are late. And so this is true for so much of life, in that we're creating the thing we don't want by actively resisting the thing we don't want.
mm.
And when we start to see ourselves and the things we don't want and the things we do want as us, and we start to love ourselves and create space within ourselves, there's just more room to play.
That was profound, bro. Not just the words, but the place you were speaking from.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like that to me is such a pure example of what I was just saying. Where like as you were sharing, like you can sense how it was. I'm like almost getting choked up even like talking because the impact is so deep. But I think that's such a great example of that coming directly from life itself. Like life can talk and life just fucking talked.
Hmm. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's genuinely how I feel when I'm in the room with you and I'm in the room with Byron Katie. There's like so much space.
Mm.
So much space to play, so much space for the truth, so much space to go deep that you can really feel the words, feel the power of them.
I'm curious, when you speak about the space, I want you to say more about the space in particular. What's your sense of where did the space come from? Was it there always? And two, when you feel into the space, what impact does it have on you?
Right? My sense of the space is that it's been here always. It just was waiting for me to connect with it. Um, and the impact it has on me is the same as looking at a vast mountain range. Right now, I feel so small, but
Mm,
that smallness actually makes me bigger.
mm,
Like you look at a mountain and you say, "Oh my God, I am so small," but you don't say, "I am meaningless."
mm,
You say, "Wow, I am more, I have more meaning now. I'm more powerful. I witnessed this, I experienced this." So that's how the space impacts me, is impacting me.
You can also sense, like, into your voice how delicate and precious it feels
Yeah, yeah,
and how slowed down things are now.
yeah. Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna lose it if I go too fast,
Mm.
which is fine, but it never can actually leave me because I always have this podcast episode.
Hmm. What would you say? Because I think the space that you're in, like even when you're hearing your voice and you can sense into the depth and the purity of it, like you can feel yourself to be so grounded in this space that there's like no care in a
Yeah,
good way.
yeah,
It's like things are what they are, but I'm home.
yeah.
And you can feel your heart very central in the space. And also, what I'm sensing at least is the space almost has like a melting
Mm,
feel to it.
mm,
Like for me on the other side of the screen, I feel into the space and I feel how it's like melting away boundaries.
mm,
And I feel more connected in this space with you because I can also sense the space and it's the same space. And this to me is very interesting because you're wherever you're at,
mhm,
you're in a completely different location and you're sensing something that is also starting to enter my room in this moment.
mm,
And I'm on, we're in different countries and we're also doing this through Zoom. So that to me is like verifiable proof that our nature actually transcends time and space. Because the reason it transcends time is because we can record this podcast and upload it. Somebody can listen to this long after we're gone
Hmm.
and actually experience the space, even though the conversation is recorded and it occurred many decades ago. And I think it's so interesting the language we use sometimes when we say, oh, I enjoy being in space with this person, or let's create a space for this.
Mm.
I think what it's really pointing to is what we're experiencing right now. And for me, at least, I always notice when this space gets activated how words are actually a very inferior way to communicate.
Yep. That's why I wasn't saying anything.
And the more time you're in this space, silence arises, but in that silence, so much is communicated. That's why I always, it's kind of funny, but certain masters, when you ask them, hey, give me something, to, something I can use to wake up, they say there's nothing to say. And if you sit with that there's nothing to say, it will bring you into this place. And from here, I think our consciousness tunes into this frequency and starts to actually download what this station is broadcasting. And what this station is broadcasting is very different from what society is broadcasting. And I think this is the value of meditation, of conversations like this, of retreats like the ones you run, is to actually get a taste of this. Because if you don't get a taste of this, your life is just limited to the current version of society. But if you get a taste of this is the same space somebody that would be meditating 100 years ago would access. This is the same space somebody meditating 100 years from now will access. So by accessing it, it frees you from time. And for me, the more time I spend in this space, the more I start to get thoughts that don't feel like they're a product of this time. The more I start to get ideas that aren't a product of, this version of society. It feels like it's coming from outside of time. And I think developing a relationship with this is the most important relationship to develop. Because when people talk about intuition and guidance, it's incredible tools to have access to as we're navigating this life. And I think intuition and guidance actually comes from the space that we're in. When I was saying so much is communicated without words, what our consciousness picks up on is the guidance. And I think developing this relationship is the most important relationship to develop because it infuses all other relationships and it infuses the totality of our life and how we live it.
Yes.
And I think it also gives you a very deep conviction. It's like you can kill me, but you can't touch the space. And if I know I'm the space, well, things are going to be very different compared to if I don't make contact with this. And it's also very easy to actually open up to it if you're willing. So I think the reason these podcasts and these conversations work so well is because it's like quite literally an invitation to share space together. And I think the deeper you feel into the space, the more your life can actually unfold. Being in touch with this space and building a business is very different than trying to build a business without this. Because if you're not in touch with this, then everything you do in life is done as a way to get back to this. But from my experience, you don't have to take the long way and do so many things in the world. You can just go directly here and then live your life as an expression of this. Curious, what are you sensing and experiencing now?
These are talking meditations.
Ooh, I think we just came up with the name for the pod.
Uh, yeah, yeah, that's it came through pretty strongly. That's right. It's incredible.
Dude, I just got chills when you said that.
Yeah, it
And
was. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, and it came
Yeah,
y- y- from a place of deep stillness. Like
yeah.
you quote unquote were gone, bro. And you went somewhere, and what you came back with is talking meditations.
My hands are sweating right now. Holy shit.
Oh,
Oh,
dude, what just
I
happened?
don't know. I don't know. Like my hands are sweating. Like this is crazy. It's not hot in my room. Oh my God.
Ooh.
Wow. Holy shit. Do not listen to this episode while driving. Oh my God, Tej, what the f wow.
Dude, holy shit.
You know, it's interesting too. The first thing that comes to mind about this is that talking meditations, T, Tej, M, Miranda.
Ooh. Dude, damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
Whew. Um, holy shit. Um, dude, I mean that I'm kind of speechless. But also not surprised at all. Um,
Holy fuck. Oof.
um, Yeah, I mean I felt I felt such a depth, like such a it was like I was looking at a football field with my eyes closed. It was, but a football field that was so big and so vast and like a mountain range of space. It's like I also felt like this is just like a playground for our souls,
Hmm.
you know? Like a soul playground. I mean, I'm like imagine if you could be anything. Imagine if you could do anything. Imagine if you had the freedom to speak anything. Who would you be? Who would you become? What would you say? What would you do if you were free to be anything? It also hit me that, the reason why we lie, the reason why we say things that are not true is inherently because our personal history is blocking that truth from coming up. There's a fear there about what stating the truth in that moment will mean for us and
Hmm.
will mean for our divinity and will mean for the person that we're talking to. And truth inherently comes when we're blocked our blockages are just pure when the blockages are not there so that the truth can just flow through freely.
Dude, that was profound.
It was.
I think you traveled, bro.
I
I think you
definitely
just
did.
time traveled.
I definitely did. I mean, the feeling of someone listening to this decades from now.
Hmm.
I mean,
Dude.
that is wild to think about. That is wild to think about that there's a possibility that the baby that I spoke about that is 1 day old
Wow.
will someday say, "Oh my God, this was the first person to ever speak about me publicly."
Wow.
Before I had a name, or before the world knew my name, or before anybody
Wow.
knew who I was this 1 day old baby.
Wow.
And here was this person recognizing me and recognizing our connection.
I love how you looped back around to that.
Oh man. What do you make of this, Tej? What do you make of what's going on here? We're 2 episodes in. I thought we were going to talk about some mentality folder.
Dude, I'm like, I was literally, my forehead was on the microphone, bro. I was bowing down.
Wow.
And I think that's the first time my forehead ever touched the microphone.
The third eye microphone has entered the chat.
Ooh, I didn't even make that connection.
Michael Singer said in his most recent book, Wisdom Untethered, added to the list. Um,
It's a long list already, bro.
you could spend a lifetime reading the books on this list from 2 episodes. Uh, just- he said, someone asked an enlightened master, how would you recommend someone achieve this state? And the enlightened master said, if you simply focus your attention on your eyebrows, on your forehead, you will have reached this state
Hmm.
at all times, and you never once take your attention away from this. Um, yeah, it's interesting how we naturally bow our heads at things, people, situations that we respect. It's interesting how we get an idea. Where does the idea come from? Where does it show up? Often in between our eyebrows, in our
Mm.
head. Um, so, wow.
How does it feel for you to go into that space and then come back now and talk about it?
Um, I've often, I think I just want people to experience stuff like that on their own. No words that I could say could give you the feeling inside. Um, and I felt that experience before, and I'm just saying to myself, how do I give this to people? How do I give this
Mm.
experience that I'm having to others? Because it's profound, and I attempt to do it through guided meditations and hypnosis. And now maybe someone can tap into what I'm feeling there. And that's if I have long meditations or deep ones, that I'll go to that space. But it's really special to do it online in public, um, and hopefully give people a sense for how some of my meditations feel.
Mm.
And it feels very special to go into that space with you. It's very special.
Mm. I also thought that was such a beautiful display of the actual creative process.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is like related to the name idea,
Mm.
like the way that we went about it, like that's I think it's a first step in any creative process is to get all the ideas inside your brain that other people have out and onto paper. And I think that's what we did, right?
Yeah.
We sourced a lot of different ideas and we got them onto paper and we kind of exhausted the collective in terms of coming up with ideas.
Yeah, we did.
And the feeling that I had was like, and this is what I texted to you, was like, the names don't jump off the page,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And,
Same for me.
and yeah, and like they weren't jumping off the page and they were almost like too formulaic,
Yep. Sure.
right?
And we
It's like,
appreciate all the suggestions. And
yeah,
and it just wasn't
yes,
hitting us like this is it.
yes, yes. It's like the names you would expect.
Right.
So it kind of didn't, at least for me, carry the punch where it's like, oh shit, like that's a big idea. Like the juice out of the idea had already been squeezed, if that makes sense.
Yep. Yep.
And that's why I didn't jump out of the page. But it was a part of the process, and I'm very grateful for that step. Because then, if you notice, like when you enter that place of deep stillness and deep space, and you didn't talk for I don't know how long, in the back of my mind, I was so curious to make a note of the first thing you said, right? Because I was like, yo, the first thing, like while I was like doing my yapping in the back of my mind, I was like, yo, this guy's gone somewhere. I can sense it when he comes back, and the thing that he shares is going to be quite special.
Yep.
And the first sentence you said was, these are talking meditations.
Yep. I mean it
And when I,
was yeah,
yeah,
go
go on.
ahead. Go ahead.
No,
Go
no,
ahead.
you got it, you got it, you got it.
I felt like it came up over and over in that space, like talking meditations. Talking meditations is the name, is like that. And I purposefully did not say the name of this podcast is Talking Meditations, but it's so
Wow.
yep, yep, yep,
Wow.
yep, Yep.
Dude. Holy shit.
Yep. And oh my God. It
Dude.
came up so strongly. The name of this podcast is Talking Meditations. And and I was like, I'm not going to say that. It didn't feel right to say it. And the fact that your first reaction from that was this is the name of the podcast is exactly what we were talking about.
Wow. Dude, that just adds a whole new layer to what just
Yep.
happened.
Yep. That's the God's honest truth.
Wow. What? Dude. And like when you said that, like that literally sent chills throughout my body. And it was like, this is it.
Wow.
Wow. That like quite literally jumps off the page, jumps out of your voice, and it's a juicy big idea.
Wow.
But but the fact that you had that thought, like, and like, dude,
Yep.
this to me is like, I think this is like what just happened
Yep.
is a possibility of how teams can actually work together,
Oh my God. How brilliant would that be? Right?
right?
How brilliant would it be if we take someone into that space
Dude.
and we before we do the brainstorming. Let's ask the question,
Yes.
what are we trying to solve? Let's do the brainstorming. Let's get it all on
Yes.
paper. See what feels right to you. And now
Yes.
let's take the five people and let's go to that
Yes.
space. And we'll see,
Yes.
do any of those ideas still hold up? How do they look now? What's the
Wow.
first thing that comes out of your into your being and out of your mouth when you say that, when you feel that? Boom.
Bro. Bro. Like imagine a startup with like a team of four
Yep.
and you can guide them into this space
Yep.
because it's so interesting how like a lot of the surface level names when you enter the space they just fall away
That's exactly right.
and the purity of the space directs your focus and your attention. And the way that you said that, I've noticed it's very similar to how the process unfolds for me. It's almost like something is tapping you, like, hey, here it is, here it is. But like you yourself don't look at it fully. You're like, yeah. I'm gonna, And then life presents you a clue that, yo, like this is the confirmation. And it's like, oh, yes, that's what it was.
Wow.
But that was so powerful. I think building with a team by entering this space would give rise to a level of innovation that we have not yet seen.
Totally agree. And I mean, it's how Steve Jobs created the iPhone, right?
Hmm. Ooh.
Yeah, and what if people were living from the space, like you said it so best. You can create businesses from this place. You can create podcasts from this place.
Because like even when you think about it, like when organizations are trying to create a culture,
Mm,
what are they actually trying to do? Right?
mm.
They're trying to share the same space.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think like the mind creates that space when this is actually more of the real space.
Yeah, well, the mind has some idea. Okay, let's talk about the mentality folder this week, you know?
Which is
Like
great. I was fired up,
me
bro.
too. Me too. And the mind has some idea of how it's going to go or some desire for how it's going to go. And usually that's a beautiful desire. And sometimes it might be connected with the heart desire as well
Mm.
and connected with the desire of God. But sometimes it's not. And your, I truly believe that the quality of life is based on how much you can live into God's desires for your life.
Ooh.
because I have a desire for this podcast of, okay, we're going to talk this episode. I texted Tej before, let's talk about the mentality folder. And God had a desire of, no, you're not going to talk about that. You're going to talk about something else. I don't even know what we talked about in this episode. That's the God's honest truth. And out of that arose a name for the podcast.
Bro.
If we had,
Isn't it?
yeah,
Go on.
if we had talked about the mentality folder, we wouldn't have
Yes.
got to that place.
It's exactly what I was going to
Of
say.
course.
It's like normally one would think, oh, I'm putting aside like my interests to surrender to what God wants. But notice how when we surrendered, it actually achieved an objective that we were trying to achieve for the last week. It's like it takes into account our personal life and what we got going on as well. And it was a fucking blast to come up with a name like that, dude.
You know what I love about this name is that it is it's so simple and powerful at the same time.
Yes.
It is so and it's two things that we both love to do.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's so clearly shares what we're about.
Yes. Yes.
It's so simple and so powerful.
I always felt like when I was going to read through the name suggestions, I was going to see a name that perfectly encaptures what these conversations are about.
Yeah.
And I tried, like I even tried brainstorming, came up with some fucking trash, but I tried. I was trying too hard. And then, because it's like what everybody was trying to get to was like they were trying to sense the pulse of what actually is this, right?
Yep.
That was like the question. Something is happening, but what actually is this? It's not the typical podcast, it's not the typical conversation, but what is it? What
Yeah.
is it? And like certain
Yep.
names were getting very close,
Yep.
extremely close. It was getting very hot. And the way that you even said it, it's like that question was percolating inside our consciousness for the
Yep.
last week. And the way you answered it was like, oh, I got it. I know what this is. This is talking meditations.
And check the chat now.
I love the fact that we can. Dude, no way. No way, bro. And the fact it says great name. And the fact it's not $200,000.
And then we looked up the domain talkingmeditations.com. It is available for
Oh
one
my
cent, and it says
God.
great name next to it.
Oh my God, dude.
Oh shit. Oh my God.
Dude.
I love life. Wow. 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 Wow.
Bro.
Wow.
What I love about this name is the longevity of it.
Yes, that's exactly what I was trying to get to with simple and powerful. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Because I want to run talking meditations with you for the rest of my life, bro.
For real. For real.
And this captures it. Like, at this stage of my life, we're running these talking meditations. I want to run one when I'm 70, right?
Wow.
And it's going to be the same talking meditations. And the fact that this is the name, it gives us so much room and space, which is what we've been
Yes.
talking about, to grow
Yes.
into the name.
Yes. That's a great point as well because it some of the names that we chose are so are definitely appropriate for where we're at. You know, I'm thinking of like, a couple of names that we really liked was like light work and sold in or sold out. But it's like growing into it,
Yeah.
and the space of who knows what this becomes and where it goes and and also the shareability of it. It's like
Yes.
talking meditations. What do you listen to? Talking meditations. What
Yes.
is that? What
Yes.
is that?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Whew.
bro. And also, since it's audio only, it really goes with the name as well at this
That's
point.
it's a great point.
I completely agree with your breakdown. Like light work was a name that I think we've already outgrown in many ways.
Wow. It's true.
Like when I heard that, I was like, oh, that's great. But I was like, that's like 2 years ago or something, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, we said that 2 years ago.
And this name is timeless.
Yeah. It is. It really is.
Yes. Bro, the fact I still can't get over the fact that it's available and it says great name. I don't think I've seen a domain that says
Me.
great name, bro. That isn't listed for like $200,000. Dude, I love
Meditations.
the fact that you had the inclination to search that and then put and you're like, check the chat now. Check the chat. That was so good.
Well, so if someone's listening to this podcast right now, they know the name. They know Talking Meditations. They have no idea. This is how it happened, you know? Wow. Wow.
Wow. The fact that we got that recorded,
Of course
dude.
it had to be that way. Of course it had to be that way.
It's funny because yesterday I ran a call and then somebody on the call, they're like, yo, like, when's the episode coming out? I was checking 5 a.m. today, right?
Yes.
And then I was like, oh, we're gonna hit like we're recording the second episode tomorrow, so we're gonna start like uploading on, this upcoming like Wednesday at 5 a.m. We just
Yep.
uploaded the first one on our personal feeds.
Yep.
And then he was like, "Oh, like, how do I search for it? Because you said it's not going to be on your personal feed, right? Like, did you guys come up with a name?" And I was like, No name." I was like, "I have a feeling like we're gonna figure out the name tomorrow on the call." Right? And then, bro, it like actually happened, and the domain is available, and we have a home for these conversations. That
Wow.
also feels so powerful. We have
Yeah.
found a home
Yeah.
for these conversations.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Dude, the marketer in me is like 10 out of 10 ecstatic at this name too, just as a side.
Tell me
But this
why?
is
Why is the marketer in you so happy about this?
for many reasons. One is something I learned from James Altucher a long time ago, right? He said if you take two unrelated things and you combine them, you can create a level of positioning that is unlike anything else,
Let's go.
right? And
Yep.
two, talking meditations is such a powerful big idea that it triggers curiosity, right? It's like,
Yes.
what is that? And like the way that I felt about these conversations were they're not conversations you listen to, they're conversations you experience with all of your senses.
Oh.
And that to me is what meditation is in many ways as well. It's the full embodiment of what is actually here, right?
Hmm.
And another reason I like this name is because it takes two things that normally wouldn't go together because people think meditation is supposed to be silent,
True.
right? And the fact that you can meditate while talking is quite literally bringing our nature into our world. So this breaks down the wall that we were talking about earlier, right? So it's like,
Yep.
oh, it's a talking meditations. I can actually be meditating while I'm talking and living my life.
Whoa.
And that to me is what it means to rest in peace while you're still alive.
Wow.
Right. And even the shareability aspect that you shared is so powerful, but also what it will inspire in people. It's like, oh, I'm going to be talking with my mom later today.
Wow.
I can talk to her like how I normally talk to her, or I can have a talking meditation with her. The other person
Wow.
doesn't need to know that you're having a talking meditation with them, but they will feel it. They will sense it. And also, as I'm looking at this name, the picture is still um, popping out of my screen. I noticed the word king is in the name too.
Whoa. The first, it's Tall King.
And tall king and also tall, like Talia just came up in my
Wow.
mind too with the first three letters.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah.
Tall
Wow.
king meditation.
Tall King Meditations. Oh, it's so good.
But
Holy.
those are some of the reasons the name jumps out. And the fact that it says great name is the wink from life that
Yeah,
confirms it for me.
yeah, I agree. I agree. Uh,
And the price, it's quite literally priceless.
it's 1 cent.
Oh, on a quick aside, I'm glad this isn't live because somebody would have grabbed it to me.
Yeah, totally. No, they would have sold it to us for free. I mean, the
Yes.
people listening to this are just good people.
That's such a good point. I
Yeah,
think there's something to that. That once we found home for these conversations, how there's always, it's always available. It was waiting for us, bro.
yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
All this time, this domain was waiting for us,
Wow, wow.
dude.
I'm so excited to post these. I'm so excited to create a. You're gonna need to create a logo.
Yes,
Oh my
yes.
God.
Yeah,
Wow.
the bro, incredible, dude.
Well done. Good work.
That was like, I think that's the real work. Like we put in work today.
We did. We really did. We really did. Light work. Oh my God.
Yes, yes, light work, bro. Dude, that was such an honor to
Yeah.
go through that process with you live.
Yeah. Likewise. Likewise. Thank you so much. And thank you to the listener. Thank you to anyone listening to this, made it through all the way. I have so much love for you. If you felt what I felt, even in the slightest way, it's a special thing. And it's been a special thing to share this space with you today. Tej and you, the listener. Um, it's interesting that we spend time talking about the birth of my baby cousin, and we birthed a podcast name.
Ooh.
And for that I wasn't planning on bringing that up, but it only came up because you first talked about how connected you feel to your cousins.
Wow. Wow. Dude. And that to me speaks to how you're always recognizing connections, what you were talking about on this podcast.
Yep.
How it goes so deep, right?
Yep.
Because even the reason I was spending more time with my cousins is because one of my other cousins passed away, right? So, on a deep level,
Wow.
you can say, like, my cousin who passed away gave us that one last gift, and, like, it led to all this.
Wow.
So, like, I think that loops back around to what you were sharing earlier with getting picked up in the golf cart and how each moment is so precious. And sometimes we don't understand the full significance of just how precious it is. I think this is a live demonstration of how each moment is truly precious and a very, very, very powerful gift.
I felt that today. I really did. I felt that today. I felt the power of that. And it's a really special thing that we could produce this, we could share this, we could experience this. This is what makes life worth living for me, being in this real space and uh and experiencing magic unfold before my eyes and before my
Mm.
ears.
I also, as a quick aside, I got to point out, I like the energy of running this on Zoom.
Yeah, me too.
Yes.
I
It-
I had no idea where we were going to run it. I
yes.
what makes you enjoy Zoom more than Riverside?
I feel like Riverside does such a good job of giving the podcast feel.
Hmm.
And I feel like on Zoom, it's like whenever I run Zoom calls, I'm just talking to my friends.
Mm, interesting. Yeah.
So it like helps at least me embody the essence of what these conversations, talking meditations are all about.
Beautiful. Yeah, I love this and very powerful. We're figuring it out live on the fly.
Bro, week by week, so much is unfolding and so much is happening.
I know, I know. It's so special. It's so special. And let me see if there's a Gmail domain as well that we can get live. Let me because if I can create a talking meditations, I won't put out the name yet, but we're gonna create an email address, which might be right now,
Beautiful.
and
Beautiful.
and that way people can email us at this.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I
Yeah,
love it. I
yeah.
love it.
Okay. So the domain is taken, and um, now we get to create one.
After we buy this domain, I'll set up hello at
Oh, smart,
talkingmeditations.com.
smart. That's the move. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So if you are going to email us, send us a message. You got to this point of the episode. We love you. Send us an email. Hello at talkingmeditations.com.
Let's go.
And um yeah, I so appreciate the connection with people. That's part of the reason why I do this.
Mm.
And post and share and like I love connecting with random people all over the world. So please send us a message, hello at talkingmeditations.com. If you have different ideas for us to talk about, we may or may not take them, but we'd be curious to hear what they are. Um,
We don't even take our own ideas. So
we have work to do for this podcast because now we're gonna create
yeah.
a PDF or a Google Doc
Yes.
of different books that we've mentioned. Holy smokes. I fucking love life. Wow. This is so exciting for me. Um,
Bro.
before we sign off, I want to hear some update of what you got going on in the coming week to give the listener a little insight into the life of Tej Dosa. Um, and yeah, just
That's
curious.
I love that question because it kind of fills in more of the personal life
Yeah.
as well. It feels very precious. But before I answer that real briefly,
Yeah.
dude, I'm pumped. I want to get to share space with you and I get to share an inbox with you now. I think like
Yes.
having that collective space, I'm also the same way. Like it infuses me with
Yes.
life when I hear, random people reaching out and I hold it very dear to my heart and it's a very special thing for me too. But in terms of what I got going on in the next week, I'm actually flying out to Florida.
That's where I am
Flying
right
out to
now.
Florida. Say that again.
That's where I'm at right now.
Really?
Yeah.
What part?
I'm in
If you want to say. Of
uh
course you're fucking. I thought you were on the East Coast or something, but of course you're in Florida.
yeah, I mean, I'm with my grandparents in Florida right now.
Dude, I'm gonna
Where
be
yeah, where are
yeah,
you
I'm
flying?
flying out to Tampa, so like
Cool.
Tampa, St. Pete area.
Cool. Nice.
And then I'm gonna be there for a retreat, and then after that, I'm gonna fly to Toronto to take in my cousin's wedding.
Oh, amazing. So you got the birth of another of a relationship there.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But what about you? What do you have cooking this upcoming week?
I'm also going to a retreat this upcoming weekend. Um,
Nice, nice.
hypnotherapy workshops and just very excited to be in that space. And yeah, just pumped to learn more about hypnotherapy and also excited to just have more guided meditations and just experience the depth that I can go to. I have no idea what's going to happen or where it's going to take me, but very pumped for it. So,
Amazing. Bro, I'm so excited to post episode 1 and episode 2
me
into
too.
this new home.
Yeah. It's going to be really special. And I looked briefly and it doesn't look like there are any podcasts named Talking
Really?
Meditations. Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Very
Yep.
interesting. That was something I was thinking, wondering about in the back of my mind.
Yep. No podcast called Talking Meditations, at least none that popped up on Spotify when I did a brief search. So very fascinating.
Very interesting. All right, my homework, I'm gonna make the books list
Mm,
and I'll grab the domain and set up that email. Hello at talkingmeditations.com. Does this sound good to you?
sounds perfect.
All right. And then I'll share the passwords and everything with you. And then we need a we'll start exhausting our mind for coming up with a logo for this.
Yes.
And then
Well,
this conversation will upload as well as the first one to this new feed and we'll continue week by week. Let's fucking go, bro.
I'm so pumped. Let's go. Let's go. We did it.
We cracked it. Such a
Wow.
good feeling when you crack it, and we
Yeah.
fucking cracked it.
And we didn't do anything.
And we didn't do anything.
It just happened. Oh
See,
man.
this is what I was talking about on the first episode when I said the creative process is a process of receiving.
Yes.
This is kind of what I was trying to point to.
And now we have a live demonstration. If you want to figure out how this podcast happened, the name of this podcast, if you want to figure that out, go to episode 2. We did it live, unexpectedly.
Bro, bro. I think that's so powerful how we're actually demonstrating without trying. Trying would get in the way of like a new way of actually functioning and operating because like we haven't had any conversations. Literally, we jump on the podcast and we're like, okay, should we just run it, hit record? And we don't say anything before.
True.
So I think it's such a good demonstration without trying to be um, of the possibilities that can arise and just how much more is actually going on and how it gives rise to such a level of creativity that is quite literally feels like otherworldly because I always felt like with creativity you go somewhere and then you come back with what you found and you share that,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Like even when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to content or like tweets or like conversations or name ideas, I've always felt like the ones that are the best are the ones where I left and I went somewhere. I don't know where I went, but I went somewhere. And when I came back, I had the name, I had the idea, I had the content. It's clear as day. I had the product, whatever it was. And I think you demonstrating that was fucking remarkable. And I also really appreciate the trust that you have in staying rooted in that space because I think most people would put their foot in it and then be like, oh, I'm having a conversation and dip out, right? But you just stayed in there and you just marinated with your eyes closed and you allowed yourself to truly get cooked. So thank you.
You're welcome. And it is only a result of 7 years of meditation, right? Like,
Light work.
like there's no way that I would have stayed in that space in year 1 or year 2 or year 3. And that speaks to my trust and connection with you as well. And yeah, my trust in myself. It's both. And so it one thing that I was thinking is that based on who we're talking to, it changes what we say and what we hear.
Mm.
And just the receiver of the information changes what is being said and how it's said. And so just anyone listening to this can imagine, okay, someone who's not comfortable with silence. I don't know if I definitely would not have stayed in that space if someone else was so uncomfortable with silence.
Right.
So it's you who are impacting that.
Wow. That's very interesting.
And the things that we do, and the things and who we are impacts how people show up with us,
Wow, dude. That's a eureka moment.
right? Why is that so profound for you?
That's so profound for me because I notice sometimes like you can walk into a room and bring peace with you,
Hmm.
and it will change like the entire dynamic of the conversations that you have with people, right? And it's like you go there first in order to create the right environment, the right holding environment. I think the holding environment is so underrated. And I think it really speaks to, because, for instance, what I noticed is the more compassion you embody, the effect that it has on any human being, I don't care if they're spiritually inclined or not, the effect that compassion has on somebody's consciousness is it makes them feel safe enough to actually tell the truth.
Fuck yeah.
Right. So to like deepen one's relationships, what I've noticed, and the reason it was a eureka moment for me was like, in order for me to create a deeper relationship with somebody, it starts with me actually getting more in touch with compassion and actually embodying that in my talking meditations with that person, which in return makes their consciousness safe enough to truly land and actually start revealing more of what's actually going on in their inner world and their external life.
Yes. And I'm sure you've had this experience many times where someone is saying to you, I don't know why I'm telling you all this. I'm just,
Yeah.
it's like, because I'm safe enough in myself to not judge myself for the very same thing that you're sharing with me.
Yes, exactly.
And I wasn't always, but you're sensing that
Exactly.
at a deep level that that I'm not going to judge you, that
Exactly.
I'm just here with you in love and compassion, and you're sensing that. And so
Yes.
that's what that means. I don't know why I'm sharing this with you. It's like your conscious mind doesn't, but your subconscious definitely does. And it's because I'm safe enough within myself to hear what you're saying. And I've acknowledged this and I don't judge myself for
Beautiful. 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 What an episode, dude. What
it. Grandma, we found something to talk about or something to shut up about. Yeah. You know what
dude,
also before we
that's so funny. Go on though.
uh Lori Ladd. I really want people to check out Lori Ladd because she does amazing guided meditations. They feel there was a moment when I was in that space that I felt her presence as well of
Wow.
wow, this is really similar to what I experienced with Lori Ladd's guided meditations. She just
Wow.
speaks and it's super powerful and uh I highly recommend Lorieladd, Lori Ladd. You could get her free guided meditations whenever. And um, yeah, so just wanted to throw that out there because it felt you were talking and I was like, holy smokes, like it is as if Lori Ladd is talking right now.
Mm.
Very powerful.
I love that you brought that in. I think that's important.
Why do you think it's important?
I think like what is happening here is like pretty profound and pretty special. And I think when we bring in like the energy of certain people that may
Yeah.
have affected us,
Mm,
it enriches the field that much more.
so well said. And it's why people carry around photos of
Mhm.
saints or enlightened masters. And it's something that I really would like to do in a I've been living, dude, Airbnb to Airbnb, place to place, and I'm like looking for an actual place to just settle down because I feel that when I do, it will ground the energy in a really powerful and impactful way that will allow me to build on myself month over month.
Hmm.
And I'm in the process of doing that right now. And one thing I would love to do, which I'd love for you to remind me about if I somehow
Hmm.
forget, but it's just have a workspace or station somewhere in my house where I have different people who I respect and admire and love, and just have their faces, Wayne Dyer, David Hawkins, Jesus, Yogananda, just to have their energy around because I feel just
Mm.
a photo of them will be so powerful. And it speaks to the mentality folder as well, because on the very first page of it, this is going to be a segue for maybe next week's episode or maybe some episode in the future where we talk about the mentality folder. But one amazing
Ah,
aspect of it is that the first page of the mentality folder is your name with different powerful people
ah,
in the background of that, which played a huge role when I was doing it on a consistent basis of reminding myself these are the people that I want to be like. These are the energies I want to surround
wow,
myself with. Holy shit.
wow. I actually never perceived the first page in that way. That's profound.
You created it.
Dude, that is profound. I love how we actually like looped back around to that too and included that. That's incredible, dude. But I will remind you of that if you ever forget.
Thank you. Were you going to say something too, unrelated to that?
I was gonna say I love how like the lightness when you're like, Grandma, we found something to talk about. And how like precious and dear that was, and
Uh,
also the infinity I sensed in your voice when you shared that.
mm.
Like it felt like creation is infinite and you can never exhaust its possibilities.
Yeah.
And when you said, Grandma, we found something to talk about, it felt like it nailed the infinite nature of creativity
Uh,
and of life itself.
yeah.
And it was funny as fuck.
Yeah. Oh my God, it was so funny hearing my grandma's impersonation of us. It was so rich, so rich. What a blessing. Bro, I love you. Bro, I love you. Oh my God.
That's hilarious.
And
That's hilarious.
one thing that I just have to say about my grandparents, real quick, because I thought about this before, is that they have infinite energy. It feels
Mm.
that way. I was riding my bike with my grandpa and then playing tennis with him. He's 88 years young. And my grandma just has so much energy to talk and connect. And it just made me really grateful. But two, it just, it fills me with awe that,
Mm.
that it, just because you're someone who's old or have lived a long time doesn't mean your energy has to go with you. And I, to be fair, I asked my grandpa, like, is she always this energized? And he said, no, it's just when you're here that she's always, which I
Ah,
think there is truth to that as well, where it's the energy of people you love, people you love
right.
being around brings an elevated energy into you, which goes to what we were talking about with the
Exactly.
mentality
That's
folder.
what I was gonna. You're right. Exactly. The connection.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
I'm just gonna. I love the impersonation, but bro, I love you.
Bro, I love you too. And I hope my grandma gets to this point of the episode. Um,
Incredible.
Alrighty. Uh, what a blessing. What a time to be alive. Um, Many more, God willing. I love you. I love the listener. I love myself. I love it all. God is great. God is everything.
Beautiful.